The year was 2157. The large meeting room on the International Space Station fell silent as the airlock door slid open. Commander Frank Miller stood tall, his back straight despite his nervousness. This was the moment humanity had waited for, first contact with an alien species. The beings that stepped through the doorway were nothing like what Frank had imagined. The Varaxians were incredibly tall, at least 7 feet, with slender limbs that seemed too fragile to support their height. Their skin was pale blue with a slight shimmer, and their 4-fingered hands moved with graceful precision as they gestured to each other. Frank stepped forward. "Welcome to the International Space Station. I am Commander Frank Miller of the United Earth Space Agency." The tallest Varaxian looked down at Frank, yellow eyes blinking slowly. "I am High Commander Zextal of the Varaxian Stellar Dominion." His voice came through the translation device with a metallic quality. "We have traveled far to meet your species." Dr. Laura Powell stood beside Frank, her scientific curiosity barely contained. As the station's leading xenobiologist, she had been preparing for this moment her entire career. She noticed immediately how the aliens moved, with a lightness that suggested they were accustomed to much less gravity. Lieutenant Peter Green watched from nearby, his hand never straying far. From his sidearm, as security officer, he didn't share Dr. Powell's excitement. He saw only potential threats. The Varaxians looked around the room, their expressions unreadable to human eyes, but their body language suggested something Frank didn't like: dismissal. "Your species is shorter than we expected," said Zextal, his head tilting to one side. "And your bodies seem inefficiently designed. So much muscle mass." Frank kept his diplomatic smile in place. "We evolved to suit our planet's conditions." "Of course," Zextal replied, but his tone suggested he found those conditions primitive. The meeting continued in the station's conference room. Maps of Earth's solar system projected on one wall while Varaxian star charts displayed on another. As talks progressed, Frank noticed a pattern. The aliens spoke slowly, using simple terms, as if explaining concepts to children. "Our faster-than-light drive operates on principles your scientists have only begun to theorize about," one Varaxian scientist explained, not bothering to hide his superior smile. Dr. Powell leaned forward. "Actually, we'd love to hear more about your quantum displacement theory. Our own research suggests that space-time compression requires enormous energy input." The Varaxian blinked, clearly surprised by her knowledge. He quickly recovered. "Yes. Well, perhaps your research has advanced further than we realized. Still, actual application remains beyond your capabilities." During a break in the talks, Frank pulled Dr. Powell aside. "They're not taking us seriously," he whispered. Laura nodded. "I've been observing their physiology. They evolved on a much lower gravity world than Earth. Look at their muscle structure. They're built for speed and height, not strength." "What does that mean for us?" Frank asked. "It means they have no idea what humans are capable of. Their bodies would collapse under Earth's gravity without support suits." Lieutenant Green joined them. "I don't trust them. They keep looking at us like we're some kind of primitive species they discovered." "That's exactly what they think we are," Laura said. "I caught one of them scanning our station systems with a device hidden in his sleeve. They're assessing our technology level." Frank frowned. "For what purpose? Nothing good," Green muttered. On the third day of negotiations, the Varaxians requested a private meeting without Earth's other representatives present. Just Frank, Laura, and Peter facing the 5-member alien delegation. Zextal smiled thinly. "Commander Miller, we have been authorized by the Varaxian High Council to offer Earth protection and guidance. Your species has potential, but faces many threats in this galaxy that you cannot possibly understand." Frank kept his expression neutral. "What kind of protection? Military support? Technological advancement? Cultural enrichment?" Zextal spread his long fingers. "In exchange for reasonable resource access and some labor arrangements." "Labor arrangements?" Peter repeated, his voice hard. "Your people are remarkably strong," Zextal said. "Such physical capability would be valuable for certain tasks in our empire." Frank felt a chill. I appreciate your offer, High Commander, but Earth is not looking for protection. We seek equal partnership and knowledge exchange. The Varaxian's expression cooled. Equality is earned in this galaxy, Commander. Your species is young. That evening, after the Varaxians returned to their ship docked with the station, Frank called an emergency meeting with Earth Security Council. The video conference included military leaders and politicians from every major nation. They see us as primitives, Frank explained. Strong primitives, but primitives nonetheless. Laura stepped forward. Based on my analysis, I believe they come from a planet with approximately 0.4 Earth gravity. This explains their height and slender build. It also explains why they underestimate us. What are you suggesting, Doctor? Asked the Secretary General. They don't understand what it means to evolve on a high-gravity world like Earth. Our strength, endurance, and bone density would be remarkable to them. I believe they see us as potential manual laborers for their empire. Green added, their technology is centuries beyond ours. If they decide to take what they want, we couldn't stop them. Silence fell over the room as the implications sank in. Then we need to change their minds about us, Frank said finally. Make them see humans as equals, not resources to be exploited. How? The Chinese representative asked. Laura smiled. By accepting their invitation. They've asked for a human delegation to visit their homeworld. I say we send our best and brightest to show them exactly what humans can do. It could be a trap, Green warned. Possibly, Frank agreed. But it's also our chance to learn about them on their territory, where they feel comfortable, where they might reveal more than they intend to. The council debated for hours. Eventually, a decision was reached. Earth would send a delegation to Varax Prime. As the meeting ended, Laura pulled Frank aside. There's something I didn't mention. To the council. Something about the Varaxians' ship design. What is it? Their living quarters, their equipment, everything is designed for beings much weaker than humans. In their gravity on their world. She looked Frank in the eye. We would seem like superheroes. Frank considered this. Then let's give them a proper introduction to humanity. In the observation deck, he watched the Varaxian ship hovering beside the station. Soon humans would walk on an alien world for the first time. And perhaps the galaxy would learn that Earth's high gravity hadn't made humans weak, it had made them strong. 6 months after first contact, the starship USS Horizon floated in the blackness of space. The sleek vessel represented the best of human engineering, though it would seem primitive to Varaxian eyes. Captain Olivia Bennett stood on the bridge, watching the blue-green planet Varax Prime grow larger on the main screen. We're being hailed by Varaxian Space Control, said Communications Officer Diane Cooper. Put them through, Olivia ordered, straightening her uniform. A Varaxian face appeared. On screen. USS Horizon, this is Varaxian Space Control. Follow transmitted coordinates to Orbital Dock 7. Acknowledged, Olivia replied. We appreciate your hospitality. The Varaxian merely nodded and ended the transmission. Olivia turned to her science officer. Dr. Wright, final review on gravity protocols. Dr. Alan Wright looked up from his station. All crew members have completed their low-gravity training. The medication should help with initial adjustment. Remember, Varax Prime has only 0.4 Earth gravity. Move slowly, deliberately, and try not to jump or you might hit the ceiling. Marine Major Christopher Kelly chuckled. My team has been practicing. We can manage. The Horizon docked smoothly at the massive Varaxian space station. 20 humans had been selected for this historic mission, scientists, diplomats, and security personnel. They were Earth's finest, carefully chosen to represent humanity to an alien civilization that seemed to look down on them. As the airlock opened, High Chancellor Krivoth waited with a small delegation. The Varaxian leader stood nearly 8 feet tall, dressed in flowing robes that shimmered with subtle patterns. Captain Bennett, Krivoth said through his translator, welcome to Varax Prime. I trust your journey was comfortable? Very much so, Chancellor. We're honored to be here. Olivia stepped forward, immediately feeling the difference in gravity. Her body seemed to float slightly with each step, despite the special boots designed to add weight. Krivoth's yellow eyes narrowed as he watched the humans move. You appear uncoordinated. Is space travel difficult for your kind? Dr. Wright stepped forward. Not at all, Chancellor. We're simply adjusting to your gravity. It's quite different from Earth's. Ah, yes. Your heavy world. Krivoth made a gesture that might have been dismissive. You'll find Verax Prime much more civilized, less crushing. The humans were escorted to a shuttle that would take them to the surface. Through the windows, they saw a city of towering spires and arching bridges that seemed too delicate to stand. Everything was built tall and thin, a civilization that had never needed to worry about weight or structural pressure. When they landed, the full effect of Veraxian gravity hit them. Despite their training, the humans bounced and nearly floated with each step. The Veraxians watched with what looked like amusement as their guests struggled to walk normally. This is embarrassing, muttered Diane Cooper as she accidentally pushed off too hard and nearly collided with a decorative pillar. No, Dr. Wright whispered back. This is valuable. They're underestimating us even more now. Their quarters were in a tall, crystal-like building reserved for diplomatic guests. The ceilings were extraordinarily high, the furniture designed for Veraxian proportions. Everything felt too light. Cups, doors, tools, as if made from paper rather than solid materials. That evening, they attended a formal reception hosted by the Veraxian High Council. The vast hall was filled with the planet's elite, all curious to see the visitors from the heavy world. Olivia noticed how the Veraxians maintained distance from the humans, watching them with a mixture of curiosity and disdain. Conversations quieted when humans approached, then resumed when they passed. Major Kelly stayed vigilant, his eyes constantly scanning the room. Captain, he said quietly to Olivia, we're being watched more intensely than normal diplomatic curiosity would explain. I noticed, she replied. Dr. Wright thinks they're studying us. Across the room, a commotion erupted. A Veraxian server had tripped, sending a heavy ceremonial artifact tumbling from its display. Without thinking, Major Kelly moved. In the low gravity, he crossed the room in 2 bounds and caught the falling object before it hit the floor. The room fell silent. The artifact was a massive crystal sculpture, easily weighing what would be 200 pounds on Earth. In Veraxian gravity, it was still substantial. Kelly held it steadily, barely straining, and carefully returned it to its pedestal. My apologies for touching the display, he said to the stunned Veraxians nearby. It looked valuable. High Chancellor Krivoth approached slowly. You moved, very quickly, Major, and that ancestral memory crystal weighs considerable. Kelly shrugged. Just good reflexes, sir. The Chancellor studied him with new intensity. Indeed. Later that night, in a secure room deep beneath the council chambers, Krivoth met with his military advisors. The humans are stronger than we anticipated, said General Vexdor. The soldier moved with unexpected speed and caught the memory crystal as if it were a toy. One impressive feat doesn't change our assessment, Krivoth replied. Their technology remains centuries behind ours. Their ship is primitive, their weapons basic. But their body, started another advisor, are merely adapted to a high-gravity environment. Krivoth waved his hand dismissively. Nothing more. Continue with the plan. Observe them, test them, determine their usefulness. Meanwhile, in the human quarters, Dr. Wright had made a disturbing discovery. He called the senior staff to his room and activated a jamming device to prevent eavesdropping. I found something in their historical database, he said, pointing to his computer screen. They've been careful about what information we can access, but there was an oversight. Olivia looked at the translated text. What am I seeing? Records of other species the Veraxians have encountered. Wright's face was grim. Notice anything about all of them? Major Kelly studied the images. They're all from low-gravity worlds, like Verax. Exactly. And look at their status now. Olivia read further, her expression darkening. Client species, labor planets, resource extraction. She looked up. They've been conquering other worlds. Weaker worlds, Wright emphasized. Every species they've subjugated evolved on planets with even less gravity than Verax Prime. None of them had the physical strength to resist effectively. And now they've found Earth, Olivia said quietly. A high-gravity world with physically stronger beings. With primitive technology, Kelly added, they think we'd be perfect labor for their empire. Olivia stood up, feeling the strange lightness of her body in the alien gravity. Then we need to change their assessment. Make them see humans as equals, or better yet, as dangerous to cross. How? Asked Diane. We play along. We let them test us. Olivia smiled faintly. And then we show them exactly what humans from a heavy world can do. Outside their window, the 3 moons of Verax Prime cast a pale light over the alien city. Tomorrow would begin a new phase in human-Veraxian relations, one the aliens weren't prepared for. On the 3rd week of the diplomatic mission, Captain Olivia Bennett was called to meet with High Chancellor Krivoth. She walked through the tall, thin doorways of the government building, now moving with more confidence in the low gravity. Captain Bennett, Krivoth said, his long fingers pressed together. Our people have enjoyed learning about human culture. Now we propose a series of cultural exchange activities. Olivia noted his choice of words. What kind of activities? Friendly competitions, Krivoth smiled. Tests of skill, strength, and intelligence, a celebration of our 2 species. Olivia understood immediately. This was no friendly proposal. It was a trap designed to showcase Veraxian superiority. She had expected something like this after Major Kelly's display with the crystal. We would be honored, she said, smiling back. When do we begin? 2 days later, a massive arena on the outskirts of the capital city was filled with thousands of Veraxians. The structure reached hundreds of feet into the sky, with delicate arches that would have collapsed under Earth gravity. In the preparation area, Olivia gathered the human team. Remember your training. They expect us to fail and look foolish. This is our chance to change their minds about humans. Dr. Wright adjusted the gravity monitors on his wrist. Based on my calculations, we should have about a 2.5 times advantage in most physical activities. Just be careful not to overdo it. Major Kelly grinned at his security team. Don't show everything we can do, just enough to make a point. The first event was a lifting competition. The Veraxian champion, a tall warrior named Drevnar, stepped onto the platform. With a dramatic flourish, he hoisted a metal bar loaded with weights above his head. The crowd cheered as the announcer called out the weight, impressive by Veraxian standards. When it was the humans' turn, Marine Sergeant Lisa Rodriguez stepped forward. She was the smallest member of the security team, only 5.5 feet tall. The Veraxians murmured, some laughing at the sight of the small human facing their champion's weight. Lisa approached the bar, tested its weight with one hand, then lifted it smoothly over her head. The arena fell silent. She held it steady, then looked at the judges. Is there more? The second event was a race through an obstacle course. The Veraxian runner moved with incredible grace, his long limbs allowing him to cover great distance with each stride. He finished with an excellent time. Lieutenant Tim Hughes went next. At first he struggled with the low gravity, bouncing too high with each step. The Veraxian crowd began to laugh. Then Tim adjusted his technique. Instead of running normally, he used powerful leaps that sent him flying over obstacles. He finished the course in half the Veraxian's time. The silence in the arena was deafening. As the day progressed, the humans dominated event after event. They jumped higher, threw farther, and lifted more than the Veraxians thought possible. The combat trials, Tim Hughes faced 3 Veraxian fighters at once. Their flowing, elegant movements were beautiful to watch, but they couldn't match his raw power and compact fighting style. He defeated all 3 without being seriously hurt. In the stands, Dr. Wright sat beside a Veraxian scientist named Trelvon. Your people are not what we expected, Trelvon admitted. How so? Wright asked innocently. You appear primitive, In some ways, yet your physical capabilities are remarkable. It's as if your bodies were designed for hardship. Wright nodded. Earth shaped us. Our gravity, our weather, our predators. All of these things made humans what we are. By the end of the day, humans had won 13 of 15 events. The only competitions the Varaxians won were tests of fine motor control and balance, skills honed in their low-gravity environment. High Chancellor Krivoth sat with his advisors, watching the final event. His face was grim. "This is not possible," he muttered. "They must be using performance enhancements." General Vexisdor leaned close. "The monitoring devices detect no artificial substances in their systems. This appears to be their natural state. How can such a primitive species have such physical power?" Another advisor asked. "Their gravity," Vextor said simply. "We underestimated what it means to evolve on a high-gravity world." After the competitions ended, Krivoth demanded a private meeting with Captain Bennett. His usual calm was gone, replaced with barely controlled anger. "Your people used trickery today," he accused. "No species can naturally possess such abilities." Olivia kept her voice level. "Chancellor, we use no trickery. This is simply how we evolved on our world." "Impossible. Your technology is primitive, your society is young, yet you display physical traits that would make you formidable warriors." "We didn't come here to fight," Olivia said. "We came to establish peaceful relations." Krivoth stared at her. "Your kind would be nearly unstoppable in our gravity." "Yes," Olivia agreed. "We would. Just as your kind would be crushed under Earth's gravity without special equipment." She stepped closer. "Perhaps that's something to consider before your council makes any decisions about Earth's place in your empire." The Chancellor's yellow eyes widened slightly. "What do you know of such matters?" "Enough," Olivia said. "We've seen your records of client species from other low-gravity worlds. Earth will never be one of them." That night, the Varaxian High Council held an emergency session. The human delegation wasn't invited, but Dr. Wright had placed small listening devices in the council chamber during their tour days earlier. "The tests confirm it," General Vextor was saying. "In our gravity, their strength and speed increased dramatically. One human soldier could defeat 5 of our warriors. Their reflexes are faster too," added another voice. "And their dense bone structure makes them highly resistant to impacts." "We must reassess our strategy," Krivoth said. "Conquest may not be viable." In their quarters, the human team listened to the transmission. "They're afraid of us now," Major Kelly said with satisfaction. "Fear isn't what we want," Olivia replied. "Respect is. Fear leads to bad decisions." Dr. Wright looked up from his computer. "I've been invited to meet with Varaxian scientists tomorrow. They want to study human physiology." "A good sign," Olivia nodded. "Go, but be careful what you share." "Meanwhile," said Major Kelly, "I've received an invitation too. Their military wants to observe human combat techniques." Olivia considered this. "Accept, but no weapons training. Hand-to-hand only." As the others left to prepare for tomorrow, Olivia stood by the window looking out at the alien city. The first phase of their plan had worked. The Varaxians no longer saw humans as simple laborers to be conquered, but changing their view from primitive but dangerous to worthy allies would be more difficult. On the other side of the city, High Chancellor Krivoth made a decision. If humans couldn't be conquered, perhaps they could be studied. And if studied carefully enough, perhaps a weakness could be found. After all, every species had one. The next morning, Dr. Alan Wright entered the Varaxian Science Academy. The building spiraled upward in a way that would be impossible on Earth. Inside, a group of eager alien scientists waited for him. Their leader, Chief Researcher Mira Lev, stepped forward. "Dr. Wright, thank you for coming. We have many questions about human physiology." Alan smiled. "And I have questions about Varaxian science. I believe we can help each other." The laboratory was filled with advanced equipment. Alan recognized some devices, but others were completely new to him. He allowed the Varaxians to scan his body, take blood samples, and measure his muscle density. "Fascinating," Miralev said, studying the results. "Your muscle fibers are nearly 3 times denser than ours, and your bone structure, incredible. It would take significant force to break a human bone. On Earth, our bodies need to support themselves against constant gravity," Alan explained. "Children who grow up in space stations have to exercise regularly or their bones become weak." "What is your planet's average gravity measurement?" another scientist asked. "About 9.8 meters per second squared." The scientists looked at each other in shock. That cannot be correct," Miralev said. "No known spacefaring species evolved on a world with gravity higher than 7 meters per second squared." Alan raised his eyebrows. "Really? What's the average among the species you've encountered?" After some hesitation, Miralev brought up a chart on a large screen. It showed dozens of planets with their gravity measurements. "Most habitable worlds we've cataloged range from 3 to 7 meters per second squared," she explained. Varax Prime is 3.9. Only 14% of planets capable of supporting life have gravity above 7. Alan studied the data. "And Earth is at 9.8, well above your average." "Yes," Miralev admitted. "Your world would be challenging for most galactic species." She paused. "May I ask how humans would fare on a world with even higher gravity than Earth?" Alan considered this. "We'd struggle just as you would on Earth, but we can adapt to higher gravity better than most, it seems. Astronauts train in centrifuges that simulate up to 9 times Earth gravity for short periods." The Varaxian scientists exchanged glances. 9 times, one whispered. "That would kill most species instantly." Across the city, Major Christopher Kelly and 3 Marines demonstrated human hand-to-hand combat techniques to a group of Varaxian military officers. The aliens watched with intense focus as the humans showed various fighting styles. "Your techniques emphasize power over elegance," observed Commander Kelnar. "On Earth, a fight usually ends quickly," Chris explained. "We don't have the luxury of long flowing movements. In our gravity, that wastes energy." "Show us how you would disarm an opponent," Kelnar requested, handing a training weapon to one of his soldiers. Marine Sergeant Lisa Rodriguez stepped forward. The Varaxian soldier was nearly 2 feet taller than her, with arms that reached far longer than hers. He moved with the graceful speed typical of his species, but when he attacked, Lisa used his momentum against him. She grabbed his extended arm, pivoted her hip, and in one smooth motion flipped the much larger alien over her shoulder. The Varaxian hit the mat hard, the training weapon clattering away. The watching officers murmured in surprise. "How did you compensate for his reach advantage?" Kelnar asked. "I didn't need to," Lisa explained. "Closer quarters actually favor human fighting styles. We're used to operating in compact spaces with efficient movements." Meanwhile, Captain Olivia Bennett and Lieutenant Diane Cooper were invited to tour the Varaxian military orbital station. Admiral Jack Foster and Engineer Susan Martinez accompanied them as technical experts. The station was a marvel of engineering, far more advanced than anything humans had built. It orbited Varax Prime, like a shining ring, housing thousands of personnel and dozens of warships. "Your technology is impressive," Olivia said to their guide, Commander Texeran. "Thank you," he replied stiffly. "This station coordinates our entire defense network." As they toured the propulsion section, alarm sirens suddenly blared. Red lights flashed throughout the corridor. "Hull breach detected in Section 14, announced a voice over the speakers. "Gravity systems failing in sectors 12 through 16. Texeran's face showed panic. "That's near the main power core. If the containment field fails," without hesitation, Jack and Susan ran toward the emergency, with the Varaxians struggling to keep up. When they reached Section 12, the scene was chaotic. A damaged power conduit had exploded, rupturing the outer hull. Emergency force fields were failing, and maintenance panels had crashed down, blocking access to the critical systems. "The manual override is behind that panel," Texran shouted over the alarms. But it's too heavy to move without equipment. Jack looked at Susan. Together? She nodded. The two humans braced themselves and lifted the massive metal panel that would have required a mechanical assist for the Varaxians. With the lower gravity making it manageable, they moved it aside, exposing the override controls. Susan quickly rewired the failing systems, while Jack held back another damaged panel that threatened to collapse. Within minutes, they had stabilized the breach and restored the containment field. When it was over, Commander Texran stared at them in disbelief. You lifted panels that would require 3 of my strongest crew members, he said to Jack, and you did it without hesitation. It needed to be done, Jack replied simply. Back at the Science Academy, Dr. Wright and the Varaxian researchers made a breakthrough discovery. They compared human DNA with samples from various species across known space. This confirms it, Mirilev said excitedly. Humans evolved on one of the highest gravity habitable planets yet discovered. Your species is uniquely adapted to conditions that would cripple most other intelligent life forms. Not just our muscles and bones, Alan added, but our cardiovascular system, reflexes, even our cellular structure. Earth shaped every aspect of human biology. In our gravity, another scientist said, humans essentially have superhuman strength and endurance. And in Earth's gravity? Alan asked. Mirilev looked uncomfortable. Most spacefaring species would be severely impaired, possibly unable to function without mechanical assistance. That evening, news of the humans' actions on the orbital station spread quickly through Varaxian society. Witnesses described how the Earth visitors had moved impossible weights and repaired systems that would have required specialized equipment. For Varaxians, in the diplomatic quarters, Captain Bennett met with her team to discuss the day's events. Dr. Wright, what did you learn? She asked. Earth has among the highest gravity of any known inhabited planet, he explained. Most spacefaring species evolved on worlds with much lower gravity. The Varaxians now understand what that means. They're starting to see us differently, Jackie added. After what happened on the station, the commander actually thanked me. First time any of them have shown genuine appreciation. Olivia nodded. Good, but we need to be careful. Fear and respect are different things. What's our next move? Chris asked. We continue sharing knowledge, but selectively, Olivia decided. They need to see humans as potential allies, not just powerful enemies. Outside their quarters, a Varaxian spy listened carefully, recording every word. High Chancellor Krivoth would want to know about this conversation. The humans were not just strong, they were strategic. 1 week later, the Varaxian High Council called an emergency session. The large chamber was filled with government officials, military leaders, and scientific advisors. High Chancellor Krivoth stood at the center, his face solemn. We face an unprecedented situation, he announced. Our initial assessment of humans was deeply flawed. They are not the primitive species we believed them to be. General Vexdor stepped forward. The humans possess physical capabilities far beyond our own. In our gravity, they are nearly unstoppable. Any military action against Earth would likely end in defeat, despite our technological advantage. Their planet's gravity makes them natural warriors, added Chief Researcher Mirilev. Their bones are nearly unbreakable by our standards. Their muscles generate 3 times the force of ours. Their cardiovascular system allows for incredible endurance. Murmurs spread through the chamber as council members processed this information. What are our options? Asked an elderly Varaxian. Krivoth took a deep breath. We must accept that our original plan to add Earth as a client world is no longer viable. Instead, I propose something unprecedented, a genuine alliance. Shocked gasps filled the room. Alliance? With a primitive species? Someone called out. Their technology may be less advanced, Krivoth replied, but their physical adaptations and resourcefulness make them valuable allies. Consider what they could accomplish with our technology and their natural abilities. After hours of heated debate, the council reached a decision. Earth would be offered a formal alliance rather than conquest. The human delegation was summoned to hear the proposal. Captain Olivia Bennett and her team entered the council chamber with cautious optimism. The atmosphere felt different, less condescending, more respectful. High Chancellor Krivoth stepped forward. Captain Bennett, on behalf of the Varaxian Stellar Dominion, I extend our sincere apologies for our initial treatment of your delegation. Olivia kept her face neutral. Apologies, Chancellor? Yes. For the first time, the tall alien looked uncomfortable. We misjudged your species based on incomplete information. We saw your physical traits and technology level as signs of primitiveness rather than adaptations to your unique environment. Dr. Wright exchanged glances with Major Kelly. This was unexpected. Furthermore, Krivoth continued, I must acknowledge that our invitation to Earth was not entirely honest. We had considered your world as a potential addition to our sphere of influence. You mean conquest, Olivia said bluntly. Krivoth nodded slowly. Such has been our way with worlds less advanced than our own. However, we now recognize that humans are not suitable for such an arrangement. Your capabilities in our gravity would make any conflict problematic for Varaxian forces. So instead, you're offering friendship because you can't defeat us? Major Kelly asked sharply. No, Krivoth replied. We offer alliance because we see potential in combining our strengths, your physical abilities and adaptability, paired with our technology and knowledge of the galaxy. Olivia studied the Chancellor carefully. What exactly are you proposing? A formal treaty between Earth and Varax. Technology exchange, mutual, defense and joint exploration initiatives, and, he hesitated, a rehabilitation program for the species we have previously incorporated into our dominion. This caught Olivia by surprise. You're offering to free your client species? Not immediately, Krivoth clarified, but a gradual path to greater autonomy, with human oversight to ensure fair treatment. The human delegation requested time to discuss the proposal privately. In their meeting room, opinions were divided. It could be another trap, warned Major Kelly. Get us to lower our guard. I don't think so, Dr. Wright countered. The scientific evidence has genuinely shocked them. They realize now that physical strength matters as much as technology when worlds collide. Plus, added Admiral Foster, they've seen what humans can do. During the station emergency, I overheard crew members calling us the Heavy Worlders. With something like respect, Captain Bennett considered all viewpoints. I believe their offer is genuine, though motivated by self-interest. They realize they can't easily conquer Earth, so alliance becomes the better option. What about their client species? Asked Lieutenant Cooper. Can we trust them to honor that part of the agreement? No, Olivia said firmly. But we can make it a condition of any treaty that human representatives oversee the rehabilitation process. After careful consideration, Olivia returned to the council chamber with her decision. Chancellor Krivoth, Earth is interested in your alliance proposal, with certain conditions. The negotiations lasted 3 days. The final treaty established the Human-Varaxian Alliance, a partnership that played to both species' strengths. Humans would gain access to advanced technology and knowledge of the galaxy. Varaxians would gain powerful allies and security against mutual threats. Most importantly, the treaty included the Liberation Protocol, a detailed plan for the gradual independence of worlds previously subjugated by the Varaxian Dominion. 1 year later, the USS Horizon returned to Varax Prime. The ship was hardly recognizable, having been retrofitted with Varaxian technology. Its human crew now understood far more about the galaxy and their place in it. Captain Olivia Bennett stood on the bridge, watching the now familiar blue-green planet grow larger on the view screen. Beside her stood Varaxian Ambassador Trell Vaughn, formerly a scientist who had worked with Dr. Wright. The joint outpost on Nebula 7 is nearly complete, Trell Vaughn reported. The first mixed crew will depart next month. Excellent, Olivia replied. And the Liberation Commission's work on Zeta Minor? Proceeding well. The local species has already formed their first independent government in 3 centuries. On the Icard orbital station, now expanded to accommodate human visitors, Commander Nicole Harris led the human contingent working alongside Varaxian Captain Vexilor. Their mission was to establish an outpost on a border world, protecting both Earth and Varax interests from a hostile species known as the Drakath. When a Drakath scouting force attacked the station without warning, the combined human-Varaxian team demonstrated why their alliance worked so perfectly. The Varaxians provided advanced tactical analysis and technology, while the humans executed daring maneuvers impossible for their alien allies. 3 enemy ships approaching Sector 7, called out a Varaxian officer. Redirect shield power, Nicole ordered. Susan, Jack, get to the manual fire control. The 2 humans raced through the corridors, moving with the enhanced speed that Varaxian gravity gave them. They reached the weapons platform and took control, firing with precision that the automated systems couldn't match. The attacking force was repelled within minutes, a victory that would have been impossible for either species alone. News of the successful defense spread quickly through the alliance. Other species began to take notice of the unusual partnership. The technologically advanced Varaxians working alongside the physically powerful humans from Earth. Back on Earth, in the United Earth headquarters, Admiral Frank Miller read the bomb mission report and smiled. He looked up at Dr. Laura Powell, who had been right from the beginning about what would happen when aliens encountered humans in low gravity. It turns out, Frank remarked, that evolving on what's essentially a high-gravity prison world gave us exactly what we needed for the stars. Laura nodded. They thought we were weak until they experienced Earth's gravity. Now they understand. Humans aren't just strong. We're survivors. Outside the window, ships from a dozen Alliance worlds orbited Earth. The galaxy was bigger and more dangerous than humans had imagined, but they had found their place in it, not as conquerors or the conquered, but as equals among the stars.